Hello everyone. Today we have a couple of interesting items for you. First of all, I have a found object, work of art. Every once in a while I see something like that and I show it to you. Then we have a children's book. It's called For Rent by Charles E. Martin. Charles E. Martin. It's about children in an island that get a house. Some person donates a house to them, and they are able to use it for whatever purpose they'd like. And that's an interesting thing. They use it for good purposes. They decide to rent it, and they have a couple of different tenants. Some one or two they don't like so much for whatever reason, and then the other they do happen to like. They hit it off. They find a connection. And let's take a look at the different things that we have. This is a mechanical dog. Very interesting. Take a look at this. This is a dog. It was made made by hand. And it works. It's like a child is able to pull it. Most probably from the neck over here, and it's an old-time toy. And they were able to use it to pull it whichever way. It's a nice piece of work. The craftsman did this. Let's put this on the side right now. Yeah, put it right there. Let's take a look now at this book we have. Charles E. Martin, For Rent. Let's get into it right now. The island children, island winter, summer business, island rescue, have been given a present. The little shed on the cove. Why don't you rent it? One of their mothers suggests. You could rent a parrot cage on this island in the summer. But being landlords, the children find, is not easy. Everyone finds some fault with the shed. Eventually, however, Miss Birtle arrives and stays. The rent from the shed helps pay for a class trip to Washington and a visit to an exhibition of paintings of their island by their tenant. Charles E. Martin, For Rent. Green Willow Books, New York. For Florence. It was the last day of school. Mrs. Gray held a letter in her hand. It was from Mrs. Burton, a lady who had grown up on the island and had recently moved away. It was addressed to the island children. It said, "When I was a little girl, my family gave me the small shed on the cove. My friends and I spent a lot of time there. It was our clubhouse and our second home. Now I want you to have it. Clean it up. Take good care of it and be as happy with it as we were." The children were very quiet. They had all liked Mrs. Burton, but they had never expected anything like this. "It's a wonderful present," Mrs. Gray said. "Let's all go look at it." "We can paint it," Heather said. Everyone agreed that it should be bright red. Their parents said there was plenty of paint in the fish houses for them to use. "We'll help when we can," said Sam's father, "but you will have to do most of the work yourselves." They started working on the shed the next day. They worked on it as hard and as often as they could. Sam's father came and checked it for leaks. One day, Heather's mother said it looked spiffy. "Why don't you rent it?" she said. "You could rent a parrot cage on this island in the summer." Everyone agreed it was a good idea. They would rent the shed in the summer and use it as a clubhouse in the winter. They put up for rent signs on the boat and on the dock. A man phoned Heather's house. He wanted the shed for the first 2 weeks in July. He said he was a writer and that he needed a quiet place to work. When the boat came in, they all knew that the tall man with the typewriter was their tenant. They walked him to the shed. He liked it very much. He said if he needed anything, he would tell them. He was never at home when they went to see him. Once, Kate saw him from her father's boat, walking on the headland. At the end of the week, he came to Heather's house and said he had to leave the island. He had won a poetry prize and had to attend the ceremony. At the shed, they found everything in order. Sam's mother told them there was a couple who wanted the shed and could be there in 2 days. They met Mr. and Mrs. Dumpson at the dock. When Mrs. Dumpson saw the shed, she said it was darling, but a little small. A black cat appeared at the open door. "Whose cat is that?" asked Mrs. Dumpson. "Oh, that's Polly," Kate said. "She belongs to everyone." "You will have to remove her," Mrs. Dumpson said. "We do not like stray cats." Sam took Polly to Fish Beach and left her there with 2 of her friends and lots of seagulls.
And suddenly he lurched and pushed Big Bad Wolf down. Basically speaking, with it.
The next day, Sam, Jonathan, and Mac visited the Dumpsons to see if all was well. "It's the foghorn," Mrs. Dumpson said. "Why does it have to be so loud?" "Mr. Dumpson can't play his cello, and he has to practice every day." The foghorn continued to sound all that day and night.
Who's going to farewell we back? What happened to Big Bad Wolf? Home in tears, burying its feelings.
The following day was clear and hot. Mr. Dumpson appeared at Heather's door. "There's no water," he said. "I'm hot, and I need a shower." "The water will be running again by noon," Heather told him. "The pipes are being fixed. There's a notice up at the store, but you can use your well. It's been tested, and it's perfect." Mr. Dumpson said he preferred to wait until noon. It was a hot walk back to the cottage. "That's it," said Mr. Dumpson. "My mind is made up."
WNYC and NPR for thoughtful, independent reporting and conversations that focus on the issues and confront these questions. Real journalism matters now more than ever, and so does your support of WNYC. You can help by becoming a member today. Call 888-376.
On Sunday, the Dumpsons told Sam they were sorry, but islands were not for them. They would be leaving Wednesday on the early boat. Being landlords is harder than I thought it would be," said Sam. "Maybe we should stop." But Kate's mother had heard of a lady who was eager to rent a place, any place, for the rest of the summer. She said that not all people were alike, and that they shouldn't give up so quickly. They all went to meet Eve Birdle at the dock. Miss Birdle got right down to work. They would see her before breakfast, carrying her gear along the road. They would see her before breakfast, carrying her gear along the road. They watched her paint all over the island, on Fish Beach, Lighthouse Hill, the ice pond, and the dock. She liked it when they asked her questions.